This is Damien with AtHope, and I'm an Axiological Atheist. And today, I'm going to talk about me. I talk about a lot of different subjects on my YouTube, and when I don't really talk about that much is my gender. And so today, I'm going to talk about my gender. And for me, it's not that I'm ashamed of my gender, which of course I used to be. And it's not that I do it, because I want to shock people or anything. It's really just because I want to explain something that people really don't understand. I hear a lot of people say there's only a man or woman, especially who are religious. And even if they took out everything else, okay, that they think they know, the fact is that there is people who are intersex. So even if they thought there was only male and female, there automatically would be something else. And that something else automatically would be intersex, that between male and female. And so this relates to me personally because I myself am intersex. I was born this way, and it was not something I wanted. It's not something that I felt good about ever. And it's not like something that I get, large support or anything now. And every time I bring it up to most people, they don't know what it is generally, or whatever they think they know it could be incorrect, and generally probably is. So intersex, so everybody in a sense, an X in a sense in your DNA, to make a female, an XY to make a male. So an X in a sense is all it takes to make a female. In a sense, our bodies start out in a not male or female, sort of like you could say androgynous or intersex, or you could just say female. Because in a sense, if you don't do anything to the original form, in a sense as it's forming, it almost turns into female as like a default. And this is something I had to learn in college, and it was not something that was taught to me, either in school that I remember, or certainly by my religious family who believed there was only men and women. And when people are intersex also, it's not like it's a universal thing, like everybody has the same. You could be intersex in a sense, everything almost looks normal, except you're in a sense, you have, say, XXO or XXXY or XXYY or something. Anyways, you could have some variation, and these have to do with all kinds of different, in a sense, intersex conditions, or can. But there's also things too, like mine. If you look at mine, it's an X and a Y, so it should be a male, no problem. But there's an issue. When you have the default that basically turns into female if you don't do anything, you have to have, in a sense, 3 processes to make that ends up at what you call male. And if those are interrupted or not done, in a sense, correctly, then you don't end up with a male or a full male. You end up with intersex or something in between, in a sense. So the 3 processes, the first thing that in a sense happens is you have to get this dose of anti-feminizing androgens. In other words, if you're trying to make a male, you need to stop the female. Because as I already said, if you don't do anything, you end up with female, in a sense. So you need to understand this. That's why also, like, if you look at the population of intersex people, in a sense, that it happens a lot more to what people would consider males. Like it's 1 in every 1,000, and for females, it's 1 in every 5,000. And the reason there's a higher percentage, like I said, of males is because, in a sense, the default's already female. So the first thing is anti-feminizing androgens. Tries to stop the female, turn it off, don't want to do this. Then the next thing is masculizing androgens. Now you're trying to turn on the male, in a sense, to become male. And then you get the process of, you get an introduction, the last part, of testosterone. And when all those things happen, you know, in the symphony that, you know, religion would hope, they end up with the male. But everything else in between is intersex, in a sense, version of, it goes from more female to more male. And this can be characteristics like, I have female nipples, and I have like kind of like breasts. Always had my whole life. Even when I was thinner, people thought that I would work out, you know, which, you know, I was tough, but I didn't really lift weights, and my chest was really, you know, looked like peckish, not because I had lifted any weights, because actually I had like pseudo breasts or whatever, being intersex. And but that also, you know, I got lucky. I mean, some people could have been, I could have been a little different shape, and I would have been totally made fun of for having boobs. The only thing that ever happened close to that was a female who was bisexual said she was totally into me only because of my chest. And other than that, I really had, most people just assumed I'm big and tough, and it has to be that this is not breast tissue or something like that, but it has to be, you know, I'm super muscular. And now I would tell them I haven't lifted weights, and they would look at me like, really? Wow. But so in that sense, I feel like I lucked out, where some people who are intersex and could have a different body shape or whatever could have been, you know, picked on for having boobs. And I feel like they have to hide themselves, you know, which I had to do too, but not because of that, because of my genitals. Now, not intersex, like it's like not universal that everybody has genital differences, variations from the norm, as they say, but I do. I had an opening at the bottom of my penis that my parents had sewn up, which is a somewhat common thing, but it's a mild form of intersex. And then also I had what was an hidden penis, where my entire penis is like inside, and only when I get totally turned on, it comes out, and that's not normal. And then my entire penis and testicles can be pushed up inside my body without any pain. And there's obviously some sort of an opening or something in there. And there's people that have like pseudo wounds who are intersex. Anyway, so, but let's go back to the beginning. So I was born to extremely religious parents, and they believe that there's only man and a woman. As I stated at the beginning, there's people that have this belief. It's wrong. So they had this intersex looking male born, and they were told this is not a male, this is, you know, an intersex person, which is me. And my family basically at that point, I think, stopped loving me, or I guess the potential for loving me was immediately reduced, or whatever you want to call it. I was looked at as freak. I was looked at as, you know, not even the firstborn. I always, even my friends would notice, wow. Like a lot of people like to sit at the, you know, head of the table or whatever as like the firstborn. Anyways, especially my religious, super religious families where everything's all structured. But yet they never let me sit there, and I even asked why. I don't even get it. It doesn't. I mean, I feel like you're against me, and I don't even understand why. And but that was, you know, I think the problem is for a lot of intersex people. It's not like there's this open movement where people tell us, you know, no, we're born to these, you know, religious bigots, and like in my case, that don't even tell me my entire life that I'm intersex. They notice stuff, and they're, Damien, you're being, you know, too feminine, or you're being too dramatic. They say all the time, you're being too dramatic, Damien. I go, I'm not being dramatic. I was fucking being myself. You guys just keep calling it dramatic. I'm just being me. I like these colors. I like these things. I like poetry. Or, you know, I want to paint my nails. I just feel like me. I'm not attracted. I'm not gay. I'm not bi. I'm not attracted to men. I only like cis women, really, because even I tried to have sex with a woman who was more intersex than like a cis woman would be. And it was a little hard for me. But anyways, so I'm just saying, everyone's got a preference. I happen to be, that's also why I feel too. For me, I never tell secrets. If anyone else ever would have sex with me, I usually tell them I'm intersex because I give them the option to feel like maybe that's not for them. And I don't take it bad because I feel like, you know what? If people don't like who I am, fuck you. I just don't give a fuck. That's even like now. If you don't like me because I'm intersex, well, that's just too bad. You know what's going to bother my life? Not at all. Okay? Bye. But I do want people to understand intersex because I feel like, it's not fair. I see a lot of people that say they're born this way. Yeah, I was born this way. I did not choose to be intersex. People that are intersex don't come to the realization they're intersex, other than they finally find out for some reason, like I did. I went to a doctor and was told this. You didn't know this? Because I had my testosterone checked when I was 20-something. And because I thought, I feel like I'm sexual and I'm kind of aggressive. I wanted to, find out, do I have some testosterone problem? And then the doctor told me, which I feel like when it comes to nurses and stuff, and just like counselors, I feel you have an ethical duty to treat the person you're dealing with in a way that's I don't know, supportive, caring. But so the doctor was not any of these things. He was not supportive or caring, He was more flippant and joking and laughing and thinking it was, like he even said, "Oh, can you get a hard on?" I'm like, yeah, not currently, but yeah. I mean, so I just feel like it's insensitive. He's not, in my life, I've been picked on. I didn't, when I was in school, in elementary school and stuff, I would not go to the gym and take a shower because I wasn't going to pull down my pants and show that it looks like I have no penis at all. Because a lot of people, the guys all about having a big dick. Well, I look like I have zero dick. And certainly as an intersex person, also as a child, I didn't want to go tell my friends, yeah, the reason I don't want to go to the gym is because it looks like I don't have a penis. And I don't want to show you so you can pick on me for the rest of this whole school semester or whatever. It's not like just kids will do this. Adults will do this. To me, I was on a job as an adult. We were doing, I was driving a big rig, a double, was it double tanker? Maybe it was a single tanker. There's times I did doubles too, but I think it was a single tanker. Anyways, but yeah, it was a hydroseeder. I'm trying to think of which vehicle. It's a hydroseeder truck. It's like a unit, whatever. Anyways, but so we would drive. We were building part of the freeway or whatever. So there's obviously no stores, no nothing, just because we're out on dirt and we're or blacktop, or we're just laying the stuff. We're spraying the grass because eventually it's going to be a road. So we're out in the middle of nowhere, so you have to go to the bathroom out in the middle of nowhere, and there ain't no trees anywhere, and so you basically are going in front of people. And I try to turn away, but the guy saw me, and he's like, "Oh man, you don't even have a dick? You call that a dick?" And it's the kind of things that I've had to put up with, And I used to feel a lot of shame. In fact, that's why I became a nudist at first. It was actually because it was a big fuck you. I'm intersex. I don't give a fuck. So I wanted to become a nudist to basically get over my body shame of being heavy, but more than that, to get over my body shame of being intersex, so that people would see that I looks like I don't have a penis and still be able to treat me like a human being. And I think it's important for anybody who's brave enough, like me, or foolish, or whatever you want to call it, to talk about being intersex, because just like any other LGBTQ thing, whether it's trans, everything that gets exposure, people start to understand. When they start to understand, then generally they're going to be a lot more caring and a lot more thoughtful in general. Some people won't. Some people do the exact opposite. They hear this, oh, that's more bullshit. Oh, now I have to learn about this. Oh, actually, asshole, you should have always learned about it. It was actually religious bigotry that's kept this man and woman horse crap, because there was always this. In fact, there's an archaeological site in the Graviton period of Europe that's like, I think it's 22,000 years old, and it's an intersex like figurine. So the fact that it's an intersex figurine shows that this is not a new thing. This is not some aberrant, thing that just recently happened. This is just a natural thing. In fact, a lot of animals do this, and it just like you can take hormones, even as an adult, of the other, in a sense, gender, or to transition, and it will help you do that even as an adult, because we aren't really this fixed thing, this all male, all female, this nonsense that religious has, forced, I would say, onto society, and then demanded that we have to keep it that way, like it's some sort of a sacred thing. Well, it is a real problem too, because to me, an intersex person is not like gay, like somehow you choose or don't choose. You're born intersex, but it's like being born with a deformity. You're just born that way. So it's a fact that they have to accept, and it obviously, but I've heard before too, they say, oh, well, it's still a male. So somehow they just cut intersex into half, and then put all half, they think, I guess, on female, and other half all on male. And seriously, I mean, and I don't have double gender, genitalia, but it's not impossible in intersex. So this whole thinking in general, though, is just wrong. It's unscientific that they think there's only a male and female. And I have a lot of sympathy for people, that are trans. I get it. Because being an intersex person doesn't mean that immediately what my gender is. Like, because in a sense, intersex is my body, like biologically. And then because of this variation, there is a possibility, in a sense of, in my mind too, that I don't feel like totally male or whatever, or female or something. Well, I feel actually personally kind of both. I feel genderqueer, like a kind of a meshed, or some of both. I don't feel actually part totally of either, exactly, because of how men and women think. It's just not exactly how I feel. But it's really hard for me too personally, because I was treated, really poorly because of being intersex, and because of having fanatical parents that were religious. I experienced a lot of child abuse. I experienced sexual abuse. I was starved or malnourished, or whatever you want to call it. I was malclothed. I was mal-sheltered. I was abandoned. My dad took me one time and just left me somewhere. And he hit me with a 2x4 and broke my tailbone. I had a lot of stuff happen in my life, and these are, people that are religious. And it's weird to me how you'll believe this religious stuff you're told in this book. But you generally, like, I always think it's funny. Do the religious believers, because I remember myself too, did you believe after you read the whole book? Or did you believe and then you read the book in a sense to understand how you're supposed to defend your belief, or what you're supposed to fully believe, or whatever? It just reminds me of this nonsense. And then this is supposed to be a better method than science. What the interesting thing about religion is, even if it gets something wrong, it doesn't really like self-correct. But the good thing about science is it does. And science has already done enough studies to figure out that not just there is intersex people, but that there is a correlation of stuff with your gender and what's going on with the rest of the stuff in your body. But just think, people talk about roid rage, like taking too much of, a male testosterone and having this mental effect. So it's not that there's ever been this belief, and I'm not talking about this saying that roid rage is real. I'm just making or whatever. I'm just making a comment that there's an acknowledgement, there's a belief already that when you take or have different amounts of these, hormones, that they are going to have effects beyond just some physical changes. They'll have mental changes as well. Well, and like I said, I experience mental changes. I don't feel the same. But like I said, it's hard for me too, because I've also experienced so much abuse. And I was also under a really extreme religious dogmatic family that was really insular. And I didn't have a lot of, I was like raised like practically in a cult. So it's like, everyone almost would feel like the way that I was raised, it was almost like I was raised, either not raised and just kind of left to be on my own thing. I ended up kind of like becoming a street kid. I would just hang out at the crack house. In fact, I hung out at the crack house so much this one summer, and when I was out of school, that my mom followed me and took a cake and was she baked a cake and was gonna give it to him as a present for taking care of me or allowing me to hang out with her all the time. Yeah, crazy. But anyways, yeah, I had a lot of pain and shame, and I like I said, I don't. I also, was really angry at my mother because my family, like I said, did not tell me. Because once I went to the doctor, right at 23, or I think it was 20 something, and then I was told by the doctor, you have lower testosterone right then than most women, and this has to do with you being intersex, and you can already tell by your genitals and stuff. And I was like, intersex? What? I didn't even know. And so, of course, and he's like, oh, well, your mom should have known. You didn't know at birth. The doctors knew. And I was like, really? They knew? My mom never told me that. She told me that the reason I have a scar on my penis when it's hard, is because the doctors tried to cut my foreskin and it was like they slipped or something, And so she told me some nonsense like that. And he's like, oh, no, you're intersex. What? No, they should have told you. But then he almost like laughed. Like, so that's what I was saying too about I feel the doctors, nurses. I mean, this is was for me personally was a hard thing. Before that, back then also when I found out, I became an atheist at 35. So before 35, when I actually had found out, I felt such shame. I didn't even want to think about it. When he said it, I was like, what? No. No. So like some people told me when they were atheists and I told them that I'm intersex and genderqueer, like, oh, you're just trying to get on some bandwagon all about gender. I'm like, dude, this has been like a horrid thing in my life. Fuck no, I'm not trying to be like anything. In fact, I really wish I was not intersex. That would have been a lot better. I certainly been treated better in my family and by society. And I also feel like it's a fucked up thing too, because almost unless I show you my genitals, people fucking doubt that I'm intersex. It's fucking ridiculous. I feel like it's just like someone's trans. I just told you how I feel. What the fuck? A respectful thing would be to listen to me and understand. And if you don't understand and you feel you can't ask me, go read about it. Then become understanding. I feel like some people they'll go, well, I don't know, and then somehow the person that see me intersex or someone trans or gay or bi, we have to be sympathetic to you not understanding. No, I'm not sympathetic to you not understanding. This is about me. You need to be understanding about me. I feel like it's the same thing I feel when someone tells, I don't totally understand what it's like to be trans. I do understand feeling like I'm not the presenting gender. I present as male, and it also, by the way, I do that intentionally. I could just say I'm genderqueer. That would be more accurate. That's what I am. I'm not male. But I say male, or he, or whatever, him, or I take that persona or whatever. The reason is because I really am attracted sexually to cis women, and I'm not gay or bi. So I don't want to I don't, say genderqueer because then people generally think I'm bi, I'm gay, or whatever, and I don't like that being harassed. So it's just easier for me to, in a sense, hide in this, persona of a man. Although I would say that it's not like I don't try to be myself, anyways. I just use the term because I definitely do my beard red and glasses red, and I've wore makeup before and do my nails generally. So I mean, I just don't care. I'm just gonna be me. And I do though appreciate support from people. And I'm not saying that I'm gonna be me and I don't care what the world thinks. I do care what people think. In the sense is I would like support, obviously. And more than supporting for me, I would like you to just support people of different, in a sense, non-binary genders in general. Also, just get it every time that you say it that it's not just male and female, period. It never was. This is not a new thing. What you're having to do is actually remove the wrong programming that religion gave us. And what I'm asking everyone to do, in a sense, is open up your humanism and let your understanding show. It's always been hard for me too. When people say, there are things that I don't understand, it reminds me of what we don't understand, we come genuinely to fear, right? To me, already, it shows us that understanding is important. Like me, I've gone into, I hate religion. I'm an anti-religionist. I feel it's all nonsense. I feel like I should waste as much time understanding religion as understanding how the Jolly Green Giant possibly keeps the vegetables fresh, or Stay Puft the Marshmallow Man, how the marshmallows stay fresh. It's to me that it's that level of who gives a shit. I mean, I will waste no time in my life. The reason that I do try to understand religion is my care for others. I care because it took me until 35 to become an atheist. The door of reason does not open once, but many times. And I always want it to be unlocked. Because I see a lot of people, their door to reason, it may open once in a while, but it's generally a locked door that says keep out. I don't want to be like that. I want to be a rationalist. Put reason as my master. I really hope that everybody masters reason. It's easy to be a slave to our ego, to our self. It's very hard to move past that, to be kind, to be understanding, to be thoughtful. Those things do not come super easy because a lot of times they have to do with removing our selfishness. Now, there's people, don't get me wrong, there's people that it is not that hard, it seems, that are generally a lot more kind. I'm not generally kind. I do a lot of kind behaviors, but in a sense, my makeup isn't super kind. It's a choice. I see it as a behavior. Some people go, oh, but I get mad and I can't control it. And I'm like, oh, and how many times have you, in a sense, killed a child or killed another person? It's not that we don't get that angry. So why is it that we're able to not do that? Generally, to me, because we have some standard that we won't go that far. But what I feel is what we really should do is take that standard of not going too far and move it way back to the beginning. We never should have started. Why do we let it go that far and then say, okay, that's the limit? To me, the limit should be the whole entire thing. We should strive to have our thinking be as ethical and as caring as possible. It promotes well-being. People that in a sense live, anger is bad for us, kindness in a sense is good. Anger, you can have stress in a sense, heart attacks and all kinds of problems. And it's just better for the world. And it takes a lot of bravery to be kind, It takes a lot of bravery to be open about yourself. And I feel like if you have the platform, you should do it. And that's why I'm doing it. I want to talk about things that people don't talk about. People don't talk about intersex. I have a blog that's attached to the video that you can go and read. And I say you should learn. To me, really, you should have learned. Everyone should already know what intersex is because they should have learned this in school. This is just reality. And so I feel like people, they want to act like they're supporting me sometimes. They go, "Oh, Damien, I don't care what your gender is. I like you anyways." Well, you don't understand. That statement is not caring. I just told you my gender. You should just say, "I respect that." Not, "I don't care. I like you anyways," because you're basically denying who I am or putting down, or it's easy to do that. It's not right. And I don't just mean with me. I'm talking about with other people that intersex, other people that are trans or non-binary or gay or bi, or I know that it's my behavior that really matters. And that's the same thing that I call on other people. Just like there's an intellectual honesty, I think that there's an imperative towards a caring behavior. Just like they used to, in a sense, try to force it from top down. But I feel like really it should be us. I don't know how, just think, what if kindness was this free commodity? It was unlimited. It was everywhere. And it was available to everyone. And anyone that used it with other people, it had the potential to change that situation. And enough of that could possibly change the world. What would be a good justification to not be kind? Right? That's what I would think. You would have to say, well, if you could do all that, if kindness was this good thing, well, why don't we do it more? And a lot of people would say, yeah, but people aren't kind. And I'm like, yeah, that is why it is upon us to make it that way. The world that I want to live in starts with me. I remember looking around going, man, no one's friendly. You know what? And it's upon me to be a friend. Nobody seems like they care. Good. Then it's upon me to start caring about others. Nobody seems like they spend time to understand. Then I need to spend time understanding others as well. And like doing this video, I try to spend time helping others understand. So the world, it's got all these facts that we don't always know about. And when we learn about them, like I was saying before, it causes fear. Fear left unchecked, like I said, can become to where it's a problem. What we fear, we learn to hate. That which we hate, we seek to destroy. So it's this negative pattern that generally precedes the other. Just like when atheists to me all the time, which I too, tell religious people that all these ideas that you're giving actually cause these toxic behaviors, this toxic thinking. And words matter, including, like I was saying, how we talk to others or how we talk to ourselves. It also is important for us to understand, that when we're presented with stuff we don't understand, the best thing to do is just try to learn. Just an openness. I try to do this all the time in thinking. I have this large understanding of religion, right? All this stuff that I've learned, but I still try to pursue. Every time I get a new fact or something, I don't try to push everything on top of this fact. I just try to first look at it, understand it. Because I think that rationalism we like to think is this somehow our nature, like, oh, we're this higher evolved being with this humongous mind and rationalism. And no, we are this emotionally evolved being with this thinking strategy that we sometimes use called reason. We don't always use it. We don't always favor it even when we realize it. Because there's been many times in my life I know that I thought, I probably shouldn't do this. It was reason talking, and I went, yeah, but I'm going to do it anyway. So it's not that reason can't happen in us higher thinking beings. It's just that we don't generally let it run our life. Now, that's where, like I said, for me personally, I want reason to be my master, in the sense that I try to let what is reasonable guide how I think and feel as much as possible. Because I know that truly I don't always think and feel, like anybody else, correct for the situation. I remember one time I had this altercation with this guy, right? And I thought it was like totally one way. But then I watched the video of it, and it was like odd because it didn't seem like exactly how I remembered it. And this really reminded me to be more, sense epistemically open. That even though that I understand knowledge or something, I just need to have more epistemic humility. More, okay, I don't know. And this is always funny too. When you don't know, why rush in like a fool and say a bunch of shit? Investigate first, know, and then build good arguments or whatever. I mean, it's amazing to me how they'll find out something, immediately react and just say some absolute nonsense. It's like, man, really? That certainly wasn't your reason side of your brain, was it? Because I know reason is different. Someone asked me one time, do I have faith in reason? I was like, there's no need to have faith in reason. Reason is a demonstratable thing. It's demonstratable that if you apply that which is reason follows a logical sequence of events or thinking or process, and then gets to in a sense, conclusion that somewhat accurately represents or, explains something. But we're fond of unreason a lot. And especially when it comes to stuff like gender, because it threatens people. They have to do this crazy thing. You know what? Reason is a revolutionary process because it requires of its user at some point to change. Because no matter what your emotional feeling is, if you follow reason, then you're leaving, in a sense, that emotional stranglehold, and you're doing that which makes sense logically. And so that I just want to close with that I feel like, hey, if you don't understand intersex, you can go find out. I don't think that most people probably understand. That's okay too. I don't expect people to understand. I don't get mad that they don't. I just feel like if you really want to understand what's really going on, you do need to understand it's not just a man and a woman. And you do need to understand that intersex people could be bi, could be straight, could be whatever. I mean, they could be trans, they can be all kinds of things. It doesn't. And so I'm not even saying too. Don't think that whatever I feel or say has some kind of monolith for intersex. Hell, no, it's not. It's just me. But I'm saying intersex has these similar types of conditions. But that's why I heard one person say, should they have a third gender added? And I was like, well, that would be a start, but I hope to hell you're not going to stop there. Because just think, you have to put somebody, I guess, when you the intersex, only in the middle? So how far deviation towards either side are you just going to categorize them as male or female again? Or does anyone not the variation, you're just lumping into this model? It reminds me of like LGBTQI. Remember, there's a whole bunch of different kinds of stuff involved in that. Well, it's the same thing with intersex. There's a whole bunch of, it's not simple. And the other thing I wanted to really talk about is that I was cut without my permission. I feel like that I own my body, or I should. And I do not think you should do non-necessary cosmetic surgery on your child without their permission. I think that it's wrong. I think that, to me, I should have at least been allowed to, at some teenager or something, make a choice or something. As a baby, I don't think so. We have a right to our body. I have a scar that always, in a sense, can hurt. If it's too much friction. It's not right. And there's sensation of people. I had my foreskin removed or whatever, but there's a lot of sensation. I just don't believe that we have, just like the female genital mutilation, I do not believe that we should be cutting on other people's bodies. It's, what the heck? And so I believe in body autonomy for the people. And certainly, like I said, how was I not told? And then not only that, I'm not told at all. Like, and why isn't it already in it should be, right, you would think, in my records, like for all my doctors and everything, it should be easily found out but it doesn't, because society has hidden everything. And this is what I think is weird. You think you can somehow change the intersex person's outer body, and that's gonna change their mind? It doesn't. It's like me. It didn't. You tried to make me look more male outwardly. And you know what? I didn't make me feel more male internally. And then I felt like society constantly gender policed me to try to force me to act male, stop acting, and even to this day, it still happens. Like I had a small dog, well, not today, but small dog, 10 years, 15, 20 years ago, 15, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, I don't know. Maybe less than that. I don't know. Anyways, I can't remember when I had a dog. But when I had a dog, it's still a small dog, and I would take it for a walk, and would have people that would actually tell me, because I am big, I cannot have a small dog. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Oh, I see someone said, how can I justify the laws of logic as a naturalist materialistic? Well, logic is a property of understanding how things, in a sense, fit together in an accurate way. So, I don't understand the question. How is that not a materialistic, non-magical explanation to begin with? Thought alone is not somehow a property of magic. So, saying that someone may have a comment that, how do you explain? How do you set to propose magic, anything in this natural only reality, with non-natural things like words and concepts and whatever? Logic, to me, like reason is, in a sense, ordered thinking. There's all kinds of thinking, right? Yeah. There's a difference when something is reasoned. It follows a thing, methodologically makes sense to what it's doing. It generally doesn't have things like internal contradictions. So, but it also, even if it did, it understands that that's not a good thing. It understands that you should have these sorts of standards and properties, just like you're asking the question. The fact of mentioning reason. You brought up the fact of thought itself, the fact that we think. But this is no different than being intersex. Am I thinking about being intersex? Fuck no, I never think about it. I just do. We don't think about logic, but logic is actually a property of just our mind categorizing things that make sense and that it doesn't have internal contradiction. There's no special magical. It's like the presuppositionalist nonsense Christians that they like. Logic can't happen without God. Okay, what's a God? How do you know that? Give me an accurate representation that you can say all of whatever believers believe, because I guarantee, which is really funny to me, do you know, like those street preacher dudes, they don't agree, right? I always laugh when they act like it's atheists against the monolith Christian. Really? Christians don't agree with each other. Are you crazy? Here's the thing, Christians. If there was no religion, just Christians, you fuckers would still fight. There would be still wars because Christians don't agree with Christians. Christians have killed Christians. Christians will continue to kill Christians. Because guess what? There's going to be some Christians that want to take over America, like the Donald Trump and all that. When they take over America, they push their values. But see, those values are not inherently to all Christians. So different Christians see God, Jesus, differently. Some obviously think Jesus must have had a machine gun, or that he would support machine guns. And other ones believe he would help the poor. He did say that it's harder for a rich man to get through an eye of the needle, or for a camel to get through the eye of the needle, than a rich man to get to heaven. So I don't know how they get these prosperity doctrines and give me, jet planes, and God wants me to have a Lamborghini, and somehow think that's Christianity. But you know what? They do, because people don't like thinking. They don't. They like simple answers. They like gotchas. You know what? Life's not a gotcha. Other than, guess what, dumb fuck? You don't know enough. You need to learn more. You need to open up. You need to think. You need to reason. And before you do all that, the best thing to do is not just talk nonsense you don't understand. But if you do, be humble when you realize you were wrong. This is one, I think, the biggest problem, especially with religion. How many times was you called, I want to apologize. We were wrong. Really? Did Jesus himself say logic was important? He did, right? Yeah. He also said, please teach my teachings. Please write down my stuff, right? He definitely did that. In fact, he told every disciple, the last thing before you die, make sure everything is written. Oh, he didn't do that. Could you imagine the supposed myth of Jesus, where this God comes down and dies and all this torture and stuff to save the world, but doesn't write shit down? Not one word? But here's the other really interesting thing. I laugh when Christians try to somehow remove Jesus from the other God of the Bible. This is really funny. Isn't Jesus God? But here's the other thing. Why would a God feel the only way to forgive was human torture and then call that God good? Right? Because the story of Jesus is a horrific God with a maniacal vindictiveness that would not forgive without torture. Because, obviously, if it's all planned, it all needed to happen, the blood. Your God requires blood, torture, sacrifice. Sorry, that already sounds like, don't get any of that on my clothes. I lived a whole life of that nonsense, believing that absolute bullshit. Somehow, just like what's so funny, it reminds me, the God of the Bible, this monster, killed the whole earth. People talk about Hitler. Dude, Hitler is a nobody compared to the God of the Bible. Did Hitler kill the whole earth? Come on now. Save only a few people? Right? There's a God, once again, is that the appropriate action? That when you feel somebody has made you unhappy or done things inappropriate, you murder them all? Because fuck it, right? You're God. And I always laugh how Christians was like, well, you know what? You can't judge God. Yeah, okay, let's buy that bullshit logic, but you can't judge God. Well, then you can't say God's good either, idiot. Because the moment you cannot judge his evilness, by his behavior, neither can you then take behavior and say it's good, because that would require doing a contradiction, or in a sense, a special pleading for only that. If you say God cannot be evil, God can also not be good. So that's how it goes. But see, really, people don't care about morality the way they think. Because I love when Christians like Christian morality. Oh, really? So what's your morality? And it's like, oh, and they'll just say the 10 Commandments. Oh, really? You follow those fucking things? No, you don't. Because the most important one was what? That's also like the 10 Commandments. Here's an immoral being. You're going to give someone 10 rules of what to follow. Why do you put murder down at like number 5? Seriously? You put it below not behaving your mother and father? I mean, and you call that an ethical God? The fact that you would do it, I mean, like, you know, just like the first one's about himself, you know? Yeah, because it's important, right? So there can't be no, it just, the whole thing, it just requires a lot of unreason. And it's just so amazing to me how, given this big packet of unreason, people then have this crazy like ability to look at reasonable facts unreasonably. But when they're presented with reasonable facts, they'll say, oh no, I have to go back to this unreasonable teaching I learned. That didn't make sense. Wasn't from science. Was just people's speculation about the world or made up stories. But anyways, I'm not making up any stories. I'm just trying to tell you facts about me. And also facts about how to think, you know, not just about me, but about other things. Because it is upon us to be good thinkers. It's upon us, I believe, to be ethical in our thinking and our behaviors. And it should be so obvious, if we think we're an ethical person, that our behaviors would express it. I shouldn't have to tell you I'm an ethical person. You should already know. My goal, people always say, oh, my goal is atheism, or my goal is, like, even right now, pushing like intersex or something. My goal is to be a good person. That's my goal. And I feel, you know what a good person does? When they see someone struggling, injured, hurting, in need, they try to help. And so that's what I'm doing. People need a lot of help. People need a lot of help understanding gender. They need a lot of help understanding religion. They need a lot of help, obviously, understanding just reason alone, or thinking. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. Look, I, like anyone, am fallible. But let me tell you something I do know I have more than most people. I have an intellectual honesty desire to be different, to be better. Not better than other people. This is not the issue. Better than me. A better version of me. One that's more caring, more understanding, more open-minded. Hate, anger, these are easy. They happen all the time. And they bring out the, best in us? No. I also don't want to be hate and anger. Like a lot of times, you know, it would be easy for me to call people names. People have told me they'll fuck off and call me names, said I was fat, said I was gay, said I was whatever, all kinds of fucking nonsense, say I don't not, you know. What matters is how I act. What matters is what I do. I don't not live my life for other people. I live my life trying to help other people. And I hope that this, you know, has inspired you to learn, you know, about people that are intersex. And if it has, you know, great. I think that it would benefit you to understand too that we're just people. Everybody's just people. We need to have more people that come out and just tell it like it is. And there's nothing scary or whatever. It's It's just natural. We just need to stop being bigoted. It's just a fact of science, and it's always been that way. The bigotry you have is the master living in your mind, the master speaking out of your mouth. I'm not letting people control me like that. I want to be a good person. All right, well, take care.